welcome to Who Needs a Therapist When You Have a Friend podcast. You guys, I'm so glad that you guys can be here with me today. You guys, I got a new ring light, and before I was just literally using my phone to light up the area, so now you guys can see my completely dirty walls. I'm literally in a shed, so it might echo, and this is literally all I have, so that is why you're seeing that, and I could probably try to clean it off, you guys. But I've tried before and it just doesn't get clean. I don't know. It's like metal. Anyway, we will try that at some point, probably. But yeah, how are you guys doing today? I went on a 5-mile walk, and then now I'm about to get into what happened with EKU. You guys, here we go. So if you haven't been in the last few podcasts, what we're doing is going over what my teachers told me in school when I was going to school for occupational therapy. And these are licensed occupational therapists that have said these things. And, you know, an occupational therapist is supposed to help people with disabilities and is supposed to help you to be able to overcome situations that you are in with being able to do, like, your daily tasks and things like that, like helping people go to the bathroom, helping children eat or swallow. You can do swallow tests, but speech therapy had been taking over that. You can help with grip and writing, and things like that. So these are just like some of the things that OTs do. So that they help people with disabilities. And so I have a disability. It is a written expression disability. So it's with writing. And I can express myself through words, like, on paper. It's really hard. And it like, also, like, causes problems with grammar sometimes. But just know that in OT, there are some things where you can do check boxes, and you just click down, and you click the part that goes in each part of the note that they have to write. Or if they're writing to an insurance company, most of the time they have platelets that they can just copy and paste. Oh, and here's something interesting, you guys. Now there is AI that can write the note for you. How interesting. But you know what? No, Magenta, they said, oh no, Magenta, your writing is so terrible. It's atrocious. Well, thanks for telling me that. Tell me, how many times did someone just tear you down every single day of your life at school, but then never bring you up to help you? So, you just like to be negative and put word curses on people? We're not playing that game anymore, you guys. You know, that's wrong, and it really should be stopped in the schools because teachers should be held accountable for their actions. I'm just saying, you guys. So today as I was walking on my 5-mile walk, I was thinking and talking to the Lord, and I was like, you know, Lord, this one teacher in 4th grade called me stupid, and she never had anything happen to her. And I saw her again once I got out of elementary school. I saw her in high school, and she was getting her hair done, and I was telling my mom, isn't it nice, Mom, that I'm on the honor roll, and I had, like, straight A's and all these things, and I was like, some teacher called me stupid, which she was the teacher, and she was like, who lets kids back here while their hair's being done? And I'm like, interesting, you know? She didn't like it. She knew who I was. But anyway, that was in 4th grade being called stupid. So we went from 4th grade being called stupid. Oh yeah, 1st grade, they were like basically trying to single me out because I didn't know how to count by twos. So that's where it all really started. 2nd grade, you guys. 2nd grade. 3rd grade was not good either. That teacher hated me. But you know, we're not in 3rd grade anymore. We're not in 4th grade anymore. We are not in occupational therapy graduate school anymore. What? You guys, we are not in school anymore, and these people cannot tear me down anymore, and even if I was, I wouldn't let them. I've decided that I can say my words that I want to say to these people just as much as they can to me. And if you guys think that your grades are so important, they're actually not, you guys. You know what I found out that the most important thing in this world really is? You guys, it's the Lord. Our Father which art in heaven, you guys. But anyway, we are now back on what my teacher said in my 2017 class. So we left off on this like rubric thing. Like, I don't know if you guys can really, I don't think you can see on item 22. And 22 was to demonstrate the ability to communicate without using jargon in a situation. And it said it requires that. Okay, so they said Magenta acknowledges her poor skills with expression, ideas, and her content with both verbally and in writing. You guys, I never had anything verbally. I mean, sometimes, we all get our words mixed up, and like expressing ourselves, but why would I use, what was it today? It says demonstrates the ability to communicate without using jargon. Yeah. I didn't have a verbal problem. And then she's expressed in her meeting with the instructor, Dr. Hardman, self-awareness of continued area of challenge. You guys, I had a self-awareness that I had a disability and that I was working hard on doing better. Actually, you guys, you will not believe how much my writing actually improved drastically since 2014. I had went to speech therapy, I went to tutoring, I was doing it all, you guys. I was getting so much better, and I will say that my writing is not as bad as it used to be at all. I mean, it will take me like maybe 3 hours to write an email if I really want it worded perfectly. But you guys, something that used to take me would take me like 2 to 3 hours now, would take like 6 hours before, and I wouldn't even know what was missing. So this time, like if I go through it, I at least know what's missing now, so I know how to like correct it, and that's what takes me so long, going back and correcting my mistakes, so I can correct them now. And before I could not. So, and then item 24 said, abides by instructors' decisions and orders. So, let's see. The Leslie Hardman. Oh, wait, I just said her whole name. Okay, well, Hardman said that I did not take her instructions or orders very well. Why would I take orders from a woman that literally tried to set me up to fail and strategically did it on purpose? And I exactly know what she did, especially now looking back at it, which is really interesting. Miss Hardman, would you like to speak on this? Oh, probably not, because what? You get all twisted up? Is that why we had to have the lawyer talk to you so much during your depositions? Yeah, I know. Because you did it on purpose. Just like Camille. And Casey Humphrey and Jeff Helander? Yes, babies. But that's okay. I see where you guys were so twisted in the mind, and I see where you are like possessed with demons. That's okay. We can talk about it. What are we here for? I'll be your friend and not your therapist. But you probably need a therapist. But that's okay. We don't need a therapist when we have friends, right? Okay, alright. So anyway, so yeah, there was no evidence that Magenta followed through with recommendations that Leslie Hardman gave me, made during, we had a meeting on 10/12 of 2017, and should have occurred on the last 2 visits of field work. You guys, I think on my paperwork here, I have that meeting, here. Let's see if I can give to you guys. Yeah, on 10/12 of 2017, Dr. Hardman summarized my job performance and sent it to Camille. So she did this entire, summary, which I don't think I have it anymore, you guys, but I wish I did. I might have it on a recording, but someone stole my recordings, and I'm pretty sure they stole my recordings because I'm pretty sure that EKU had hired someone to steal my stuff, because you want to know something? Not only did my recorders go missing that I had recorded all of these personal meetings with, I also had my backpack stolen and my car broken into multiple times during this. Yeah, ironic, right? And they only stole things that had to do with school. Tell me how that is not a coincidence. Oh, wait, I know EKU did. But anyway, so besides the fact that EKU did that, Dr. Hardman then proceeds to send my job summary performance to the graduate school coordinator, Camille, and noted that this is what she said in her thing. She said, Magenta had the same delays, has the same delays as children in middle school, and that I should not work with this population of adolescents as a primary job in the future. She said this to a person that was supposed to be placing me, and said that since Magenta has delays, she called my disability a delay, that I should not work with children in middle school or adolescents because I'm what? Why? Because she thought that my writing wasn't good enough and that I couldn't work with younger students. I did not agree with her, the assessment that she had for me, and I feel that my disability, she did not give me more empathy and ability to work with this population. So I did not agree with her assessment with me, and I felt as if she did not give me empathy and ability to work with this population. She requested that I perform more work than other students, such as learning the process of writing for speech therapists and OTs. Why were they not teaching us that in our classes? Interesting, right? Don't know. She also told me that she would not tell my level 1 supervisor about this meeting, but advised me to do so. The next week on fall break, my level 1 supervisor, Jamaica Richards, already knew about it without me ever saying a word. So what happened was I went there, which we had talked about. I had went there on my fall break, okay? And I was trying to learn because my teacher just told me that I didn't learn. I needed to learn how to do writing notes. And guess what? Jamaica Richards never actually showed me any of her notes that she wrote for her children at the school, because guess what? I don't think that she did that. And you want to know why? Because she always did everything with the speech therapist. And you know, also, you guys, that thing I was showing you when I was reading about these items over here, which we have not finished, this was what my fieldwork advisor, Jamaica Richards, had to fill out. And then also my Leslie Hardman, my teacher, filled it out for the ways that they had spent time with me and communicated. But when I was reading these items, you guys, it had my full disability in this, and I never explained that to Jamaica Richards, who should have never known that I had a disability. And because of Leslie Hardman not keeping my stuff private, she knew about the disability. Now, Jamaica Richards, I did tell her I had a tutor so I could learn how to do writing better, but I never exactly told her that I had a disability or what it was, because I was trying my best to hide it, because at that time I was still really nervous and very, embarrassed of my situation, but I was trying my best to learn from this woman. Okay. She wasn't helping as a teacher or an instructor or a mentor should, So Jamaica Richards was my level 1 supervisor, which you guys, I've told you. I had to see her a minimum of 6 visits. So we saw her 6 times. However, you could go more if you wanted. I told Jamaica Richards I was coming on my fall break for a volunteer practice day. But she then was talking to Dr. Hardman, and Jamaica Richards and myself had a supposed misunderstanding, because Jamaica Richards counted my practice day that I went after 10:12 to go and learn about what I was told to go and learn about. And she said that the only day that I went, she counted it as a regular day, and failed me, because she didn't want me to come in for a practice day to learn the writing and to learn everything else that you could learn from an OT. And other people were going on their fall break to learn, and they were not counted against them to learn. But me, oh no, Magenta, you don't get no leeway. That's what they say. Okay, baby, whatever. So anyway, Dr. Hardman continued to tell me that she had the power to fail me. It was only one day that I took my computer into the classroom with me to practice soap notes. This was on the day that was a fall break day, and I took it in to the school to practice soap notes during the day so I could start writing soap notes while she was seeing the client during the day. And you can write your soap note while seeing the client. However, it is always best to do it probably after you see the client, not while you're seeing the client. But you can do it while you are seeing the client. And at this time, she continued to do group therapy. So I was doing it while she was interacting with the other kids during the group. And I was also doing it because I was trying to practice. Yeah, that's what I did. And I asked her, Jamaica Richards, to help me, to show me. And I know she graded me on my practice day because in one of her feedbacks, she talks about how I only showed her half of a written note. I find this disturbing that both Dr. Hardman and Jamaica Richards would speak about my disability and my failure almost verbatim. So what they would do when they wrote this paper up about me, when one person wrote it and then another person wrote it, supposedly they didn't write it together. But it's so interesting that they would say the exact same words, that it was almost like they talked about it on the phone and just wrote it out like that. Because no one's going to say the exact same sentence if they didn't. You know what I mean? So it's almost verbatim. They try to say I was a plagiarism. Plagiarism is when you copy someone else's work and you post it for your own, right? So if they're together talking about the thing and then they write each their own little paragraph, that's the exact same. What is that? What is that, teachers? What is that? Okay, so then by 10:24, I was literally having a panic attack, a full-blown panic attack by 10:24. Because these teachers were failing me, and they thought it was perfectly fine to be failing me. So that is how that went. Okay, so now we left off on item 25. Item 25 says, let's see. Oh my goodness, gotta find it. Item 25. It says supportive of peers and clients. Oh, I was only supportive of FMD population only. You guys, I was only in the FMD area the majority of my entire 6 visits that I went to the middle school, except for on the day that was fall break for my own day. Okay? She wanted me to, I guess, cheer on these kids that were in a group therapy together. What did she want me to do? Say, yay, you're doing so great, and name all these kids who I didn't know if they were there for speech or if they were there for OT because she didn't specify. You want me to cheer on speech and OT? I don't get it. I mean, I will, but it was really weird. Magenta is kind and supportive with clients observed at CAPE. Proceeds to not say. And then the other teacher just said, only with FMD population. So she gives me a 2. And then over here, the teacher said, Magenta is kind and supportive with the clients. Well, am I kind and supportive or am I not? Why are you giving me a failing grade if I was and then I was? You know what I mean, you guys? Come on. Now we're going to item 31. 31. Contacts instructor for help at appropriate times of the day. Magenta consistently uses email as her preferred contact with the instructor. This was appropriate and gave me a 2. Oh, the fieldwork advisor, Jamaica Richards, gave me a 2. And the teacher gave me a 3. And interesting because my email was preferred because this woman would just continue to degrade me in person, and I did not like that. So that's why it was preferred as an email. Ironically, it was an email, but she said that I wasn't very good with grammar. Whatever. Okay. Now we're going to item 35 and 37. That was work efficiently within a group. And 37 was demonstrate ability to relinquish leadership and follow. And she said that I could relinquish leadership, but my teacher, Mrs. Hardman, said I could not. And she said Magenta typically observes during the group and does not take leadership role with my peers. Yes, I would observe during that time, because why would I need to take over a leadership role with my peers when my peers really enjoyed to talk a lot and I learned a lot from them? And if I didn't have to have input and no one directly asked me a question, I'm going to, of course, sit there and observe and listen. Because guess what? Observing and listening is a part of OT also, not yapping your mouth constantly. I'm just letting you know, you do not have to be a loudmouth to be an OT, but a lot of these teachers expected you to be a loudmouth. I don't like to talk that much per this podcast. Okay, I am talking a lot during that, but you guys, when I get done talking from this podcast, I don't want to talk the rest of the day. But yeah, I prefer to watch. I prefer to listen. I prefer to be there for the person on the other side instead of telling you about my life. I am not an open person, and for me to sit here and really be open and vulnerable and tell you guys exactly what was going on in my life is actually really hard for me, especially when I have no idea who you really are or what you're thinking about this, or if I'm even going in order, if it's even making sense. Oh my gosh. When I explain it, it takes so much to explain because there were so many people, so much went a part of it, and it was a lot of people talking, and it was just really hard to follow. And I'm hoping you guys are following. If you have any questions, let me know so I can backtrack and really just try to answer them. Okay? So anyway, so now we're going to 38. Assist with problem resolution once problem has been identified. They gave me a 2. Okay. Once I had a problem, I was trying my best to fix the problem. They continued to degrade me and cause more problems. So let's see. It said, this is an area for improvement, as noted in 19 and 20, and demonstrates poor insight for problem resolution and instructed assignments and or client challenges. Client challenges. Oh my goodness. I think we're probably going back to talking about what? CAPE again? Are we really going back to that? You guys, let me just see. 19 and 20 was Magenta has indicated by her behavior conflicts with the fieldwork educator and Leslie Hardman. She demonstrates a preference to avoid direct contact and conversation with these persons instead of talking to others in her spheres of support. This seems to delay the resolution to the conflicts. Okay, you guys, during this time I was having so much conflict with the teachers that I was having panic attacks going to talk to them because they were degrading me, basically talking about how stupid I was, how I could never work with middle school children, saying that my writing was atrocious. These are just things that they were saying to me, you guys. They were telling me that I couldn't make it as an OT. They were telling me, okay, you go practice and learn on your own other types of OT methods to write papers, but we're not going to show you. We're not going to help you. They just continued to go over how awful I was as a student and as a person, and they really weren't helping me to feel better as a person at all. So of course I'm not going to go and talk to them to try to fix the issue when they weren't fixing it. I had wrote them multiple times. This woman wasn't giving me accommodations. I then proceeded. You'll see where I went to a meeting. I had to go and tell the disability office about this and everything, you guys. This was just terrible. And what I'm reading to you guys right now is what the Leslie Hardman said, and then I can go through what Jamaica Richards said according to each, every single thing that we had went through. So then item 39 was let's see. Item 39 shows awareness and insight regarding strengths and areas needing growth in terms of knowledge and skills. Fixated on soap note writing. Why would Magenta be fixated on soap note writing? That's because I needed to learn what the soap note was. They weren't teaching me correctly, and I needed to learn in a different way. And how many times can I ask a person about that? I don't know. But guess what? I asked a million times and they still didn't tell me. How ironic, right? So then we go to see what, this is what Leslie Hardman said. She said, Magenta tries very hard, as stated in 12. Works hard and ahead on assignments. She has poor insight for addressing her defects in content knowledge. Okay, how many more times are they really going to, like, degrade my character, you guys? Like, defects? Defects. Okay. Or no, deficits. I know my deficits, and I know that I'm not strong in everything, but come on, you guys, right? Assessment, analysis, and leadership skills. Foundation skills for an occupational therapist seeking, synthesizing, analyzing information, creating a client occupational profile, the big picture, assessing the interpreting and applying information in unique and creative ways to meet the needs of a person's or population. What is often challenging for Magenta is on-demand expectations to use her emerging professional skills in a real-world scenario, such as fieldwork. Based on this assignment, she has received a not passing score for this class. Yeah, you guys. Consistency with Jamika Richards. Yeah, okay. So that's what, Leslie Hardman had to say about this. All right, now let's go into what Jamika Richards said. This is what she said. This is also part of it. Safety regulations is not relevant in this situation. Magenta has been punctual and flexible with the schedule. She has performed and participated in field work in the times to her concerns with her grades, which I was afraid of my grades. I was trying to confide in this woman, but obviously confiding in this woman was not a good idea. Because apparently she likes to run her mouth. And you know what? That's fine, right? It's really not fun to talk about someone all the time, constantly, but, I thought maybe this woman wouldn't do that, but apparently that wasn't the case. Okay, so we go here. Now, this is what Jamika Richards says in regards to this lovely paper that we had just been reading, apparently, what the OT Miss Hardman said. So now let's read what Jamika Richards said. Magenta has given feedback to her fieldwork person, which was Jamika Richards, on October 24th of 2017 at 2 p.m. Magenta was asked if she had any questions after her evaluation had been reviewed. She replied that she did not have any questions at this time. An email request was received from Magenta on Friday, October 27th at 2:16 on her feedback for each item that she got scored on a 2. So, on number 3, this was apparently me replying to what they had wrote there. Okay, so this was me replying. Sorry, guys, this was me replying. Engages in a positive communication with instructor and other classmates. I got a 2 there, so I said, Magenta has little, this is what she said. Magenta has little communication with staff and clients. She did communicate better with the FMD room. Magenta was only an observer to the individuals in the group on my workload. On the last day of level 1 fieldwork, usually students tell my fieldwork students goodbye to acknowledge them. Since Magenta mainly observed the students, did not speak, or notice that she was in the room or learn her name, Magenta began to communicate with me more in the last 3 weeks. However, the communication was about her soap note writing and her grade at EKU. Yeah. Magenta manages stressors and emotions in a positive and constructive way. Magenta was unable to manage her stress about soap notes and her grade. An example of this was Magenta was observing a group at 8:30 a.m. After watching one group member. Magenta spent the remainder of the day rewriting the subnote. Never once during the next 5 groups did she interact with myself or any other group members. And actually, I did talk to her about the soap note, and that was fall break that I went there to only work on soap notes. I do not know how many more times I could repeat that, you guys. I went there to work on soap notes. And if you can't tell, she never worked one-on-one with a student in that class. It was all just, what? It was all a group, because she did it with speech therapy. So how did I know who was with her and who wasn't? They worked on punctuation and sentences. That's all. And they all did the same thing every single time. No different level, no different activity. Every person got the same activity. Now, you can't tell me that they're all on the same level, because guess what? They all have their own IEP plans, right? Yes, they do? Well, then why are they doing all the same thing? Oh, that's right, because you didn't want to do your job. Oh, that's right, you got angry because I was trying to learn how to do the job that you couldn't do, but somehow you passed school? Interesting. Oh, my goodness. Okay, manages stressors and emotions. Oh, we already went through that. I am not handling this emotion very well. I am quite irritated after thinking about that. Yes, I am. Modifies performance at attitudes following feedback. Magenta is unable to accept feedback and modify performance. She's fixated on one task or assignment that stresses or focuses on it. You guys, I was stressed out about that because I did need to learn to do those, and she was supposed to help me, and she did not. And of course I was stressed out that day because I had already been told I was failing. Before that, on 10/12, I was told that 12 days before this thing was sent to me. Yeah, exactly. Of course I was. I was trying my best to learn, and they were not helping. You guys, I do not know how many more times you can really call out for help when no one helps. It's kind of like when you're really in a tough situation and you feel like no one can hear you, and you're literally screaming at the top of your lungs, and no one cares. And that is literally what was happening here during this, you guys. This is literally what was happening. 7. Displays curiosity and interest in learning. Magenta displayed no curiosity upon her arrival. She was more concerned with checking off items on her fieldwork checklist and assignments. She needed to check off everything she had to complete. I had to offer up conversation about client population and what happens on a daily basis. I made arrangements for Magenta to observe the FMD room as she attended community-based instruction 2 times. You guys, I was in that classroom more than 2 times. This woman is a liar because I even got a raving review from the teacher who was in the FMD classroom. And you guys, it was way better than what this woman is trying to say, because guess what? I spent more time with that woman, and I appreciate that woman so much. She was a really good special education teacher. But yeah. So then 8. Asks appropriate questions when in doubt. Very few questions were asked by Magenta until she began to struggle with assignments at EKE. Well, of course I would have to ask questions because she was saying that I wasn't doing stuff right, and that's what they kept saying. And so I'm sitting here like, if I'm here to ask you questions, how come you can't help me? That's because what, you don't know the answers? Or you don't really care and you're just there to get paid, because that's what I felt like. And she's probably still there just getting paid, right? Free money. That's exactly what she was doing. I never saw her help anyone, really. But you know what? I digress. Going back on. Volunteers for additional duties. Magenta never offered to perform any duties at fieldwork with exception of her evaluation and interventions that were her requirements. To assist or to help a student to go pick up a student from a class, Magenta had to be told. Well, I mean, how was I know that you were going to go pick up a student or anything, like, you know? At no time did she ever intimidate/include herself and assist with group session or attempt to assist with clients. As Magenta stated before, Magenta did interact with FMD students. Magenta did struggle with purpose for OT, school-based OT. I did struggle with understanding why she was there when she was just doing stuff with the speech therapist. She did not do anything on her own, and she only, and I mean only, spent time with speech therapy. You guys. Anyway, so of course I didn't know what the purpose was because I did not see her doing anything. Okay? So I just thought she was just being wasteful of people's money because she wasn't doing anything meaningful and she wasn't even helping the kids to do anything. Like, it was just a waste of those children's time. And they're not all on the same level. Like, I don't get it. Okay. Anyway, many activities are instructed off of core content classes and adapted grade to help the student with their occupational of being a successful student. So they were sitting there doing the same activity of writing sentences and like going through a sentence. Why is occupational therapy doing what speech therapy does? Can you tell me that? Because I still don't know. Because OT bills for something different than speech therapy. The only thing that I really saw that OT and speech therapy would have actually had a combination on would have been eating. Those children were not eating. We were not learning to swallow. We were not learning, like, what was she doing? Only handwriting? Is that what she was doing? During those, I'm going to grade their handwriting, and then the speech therapy is going to grade their punctuation or their spelling. Okay, but come on now. Why can she not be her own thing and, like, not have a group session every single week? You know? Like, group sessions shouldn't be one-on-one. I don't know. She barely did one-on-one, so, I mean, I could see where you could do it, but every single week? Every single week? No. Come on now. You're not learning anything if you're all in a group. I'm telling you, if I was in speech therapy and I was in a group, I probably wouldn't have learned as much as I did when I did one-on-one. So what I'm trying to figure out why they didn't do one-on-one. Because it was only like, 15 minutes a session? Maybe, but if they combined them, they got 30 minutes a session. I don't know. So Magenta, and then she says Magenta struggles with written expression, and that was evident during her observation of groups. She had heard and observed the activity for 5 groups. She was asked at the last group to help a client who had fallen behind. She was unable to help him make the right corrections in 3 remaining sentences and him to rewrite the sentences. Yeah, they did that. They did 3 remaining sentences and rewrite them. We did not have time to do that, and she would never have known that I had a written expression disorder by not being able to help this child. And I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure we didn't have time and the kid wasn't listening, and so he didn't care. And why were we rewriting sentences as OTs anyway when we should have been working on handwriting, hand grip, things like that. And they're like, we're trying to help them with what they're doing in their class, but they weren't doing in 6th grade or 7th grade. You're not doing handwriting activities in your classroom. So why were we doing what speech therapy was doing? Still is beyond me. It's beyond me. Allows adequate preparation time at site. Magenta spent most of her time checking off things on her checklist or writing drafts of subnotes. At no time did she try to plan interventions or ask me for feedback until her grade was a concern. Oh, well, what kind of feedback did I need? Because half the time you sent me to the FND program. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you weren't there to help, right? Okay, continuing. Engages in a positive verbal and nonverbal interpersonal communication with client, peers, instructor. As stated in 3, communication was not a strength for Magenta. She is not comfortable communicating with other staff or population of clients. She demonstrated difficulty in initiating conversation with various groups of individuals, such as clients, staff, and peers. Well, I didn't want to have a conversation because all I heard them was gossiping. They weren't talking about helping a person. That's all she did. Jamaica Richards would just gossip all the time, and it's not something I wanted to do. It's not something I wanted to hear. It's not something I wanted to be around. Then it says, demonstrates concise written and verbal communication. Magenta had difficulty explaining her intervention or rationale as to why they are relevant. As being stated before, Magenta struggles with communication. Over the last 3 weeks, she has been struggling with her EKU class and has been solely focused on writing a soap note on this site. I told her that on my 1 day of fall break, that I went there to work on it. How many times do you have to repeat the same thing before they understand? I don't know. I have only read one of Magenta's soap notes, and it was handwritten, and was on the day that she had worked on all day. It only included a part A and a part O. When reading over it, I pointed out that she had put the client that had 6 formation errors, and she had only listed 4. In the observation part, she had not included the permanent information about her observation. The kid probably did not have 6, and she did not say that. Because if I remember right, she just said, this is good, and again, why are we doing writing for if they have a period or a punctuation? I did that when I was in speech therapy. She would, or he would, look at it and say, hey, that's where the period goes, and that's where the comma goes. That's how you make a sound. Why are we doing that for OT? Why are we doing that? Because I'm pretty sure we're supposed to work on handwriting and other things like that. We don't work on that. If we did, maybe I would have learned more for my written expression. Maybe I would have learned more trying to be a speech therapist and not an OT. I would see why I couldn't be a speech therapist, probably. But then again, maybe it would have helped me learn a lot more. I don't know, but why were we doing that? I don't know. And that's just an irrelevant thing that they just thought was perfectly fine. Magenta, constructive resolution of conflict. Magenta can become fixated on one issue. When this happens, she's unable to move on. She focuses solely on my fieldwork checklist and a soap note writing. She's unable to focus and participate on anything that is due to these concerns. Well, that was because at the time I was being told if I didn't write these soap notes how they wanted, that I was going to fail, you guys. And, I was learning that day that only day that I wrote a soap note. The one day I wrote a soap note was the same day that I went to learn to practice, which was again for fall break, and they did not care. And she failed me for that day. And I remember when I went to that meeting with Leslie Hardman on 10/12, she was basically saying I could fail, and she just kept on saying that over and over to me. And that's, of course, why I was fixated on that. I mean, if you go into a meeting and someone says, I'm going to fail you, I have the power to fail you. You shouldn't work with adolescent children. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that because you have a disability, because you have this, because you have that. It's going to mentally tear you down. And that's what they tried to do. They really did. Here we go. Practice assertive communication. Again, effective and assertive communication is hard for Magenta. She is not one to ask for help or assistance. Oh, that's not true. Dude, I was going to the president of the college. I was going to the librarian. I was going to the EKU disabilities office. I was going to the head of the OT department. I had already personally asked for help for a tutor for almost every single person in my class at the time. And you're sitting there saying that I don't ask for assistance or for help. Obviously, you don't know me at all. And then you said that I asked for help with a soap note that she didn't provide. Okay, so she's contradicting herself. She is not understanding anything here, and it's just why? So she said, an example of her is her difficulty with soap note writing. When her grade was affected by her difficulty of writing soap notes containing clinical thinking, Magenta expressed to me that she was contacting the Center for Student Accessibility. At no time before did she share to me that she needed extra help or had accommodations. Oh, but if we go back up there, she tries to say all these things that she thought I had a disability, right? But now she's saying at no time did I ask her for extra help or needed anything, right? That's not true. She just lied again, and the teacher, Leslie Hardman, took her lies and said it's fine. When questioned about as if she needed extra time or audio or visual, she told me that she received a tutor at EKU and that she was not getting the help that she needed when her grades were dropping. I wasn't getting help from my teacher. I wasn't getting my accommodations. But I didn't tell her. I just said I expressed that I was not getting the help I needed because I didn't want to tell this woman about my disability because it was embarrassing, and I knew that this woman was going to judge me because she literally, you guys, was gossiping all the time. She didn't want to help me with anything, and you could just tell. Like, I don't know if you guys know how to, like, read a person, but you can just tell if a person wants to help you or if they're mean or if they're going to gossip about you or if they're going to talk about you. And you guys, since I'd already had this problem with this teacher already, we did not need to have more conflict going on. But clearly it was going on nonetheless. You know what I'm saying? She said, demonstrated ability to communicate without using jargon when situations required. Magenta has difficulty expressing her thoughts and ideas. She was unable to explain what Gaskell's were to me. This woman never even asked me what Gaskell's were. They don't even really work on that. And here's the thing, I don't even think we were learning about it. It's possible we hadn't learned about it or we were learning about it. I don't remember all of this part at this time, but I'm telling you that there was something fishy about that, but I cannot remember. And you know what? I don't really care to remember because she already had contradicted herself multiple times in this, so it doesn't matter. It said Magenta follows chain of command. Magenta seemed to have issues with EKU staff. Instead of taking her complaints or concerns to them, she talked to me about them, placing me in the middle of something that I only had one side of the story. I did not place her in the story. I was trying to tell her, I was trying to confide in her because you guys, at this point, I was trying to get help from anyone and anyone that would listen and help me. This woman did not want to help. She did not want to help. I can't explain to you guys the amount of how these people did not want to help me, that they could not be bothered with me. And it was tragic. It was just tragic. You guys, I'm running out of time today. So we have went over what happened with Leslie Hardman and what she wrote about me, and then I was trying to get through what Jamaica Richards had said about me to what the teacher of what Dr. Hardman would read, and then try to base her grades on me over there. So we are leaving off on we're leaving off on supportive of clients and peers. So you guys just know that I am trying my best to get through this. And I'm just thankful you guys are here going along this journey with me. I wish, honestly, I could have given you guys this journey in real time. You guys would have probably enjoyed this because real time, I was a mess, more than a mess. And now I'm still a mess, I guess, when I think about it. I haven't actually went through any of this since that time. But now we are. We're going through it together, and I'm so glad you guys are here with me. Thank you. I love you guys, and I will see you later on Who Needs a Therapist When You Have a Friend.